Get out! You're not welcome here!
My babies! Where will we go? I'm so cold. My poor babies.
It is 12 minutes past midnight on a Tuesday in January, and the temperature outside a quiet suburban home on the outskirts of Columbus, Ohio, has dropped to 19 degrees. Not the kind of cold that is merely uncomfortable. The kind of cold that is hostile. The kind that reaches through your clothing and finds your bones before you have even had a chance to brace for it. The kind that makes the air feel sharp, almost aggressive, like the night itself has an opinion about what is happening. Most of the neighborhood is completely asleep. The streets are empty. The driveways are still. The only sound for blocks in any direction is the low hum of a streetlight at the far end of the cul-de-sac, flickering the way streetlights do in the middle of winter, as if even it is struggling to stay awake in the cold. But on the front porch of a 2-story colonial house with black shutters and a 2-car garage and a welcome mat that still reads "The Hargrove Family" in neat block letters. On that porch, something is happening that no one in that neighborhood would believe if you told them about it in the morning. A woman is standing on the concrete steps, barefoot, no shoes, no socks, nothing between the soles of her feet and the frozen ground beneath her. She is wearing a thin cotton hospital robe, the kind they give you when you are discharged, the kind that was never designed to keep anyone warm, the kind that was designed only to cover you long enough to get from the hospital bed to the car. She still has her hospital discharge bracelet on her left wrist. The plastic kind, the white one with the small printed text that lists your name and your date of birth and your attending physician. She has not had time to take it off. She has not had time to do much of anything, because she has only been home from the hospital for 9 hours. 9 hours. And in those 9 hours, she gave her babies their first feeding outside of a medical setting. She tried to sleep for 40 minutes and could not. She sat in the nursery she had spent 4 months preparing and looked at the 2 cribs she had assembled herself because her husband kept saying he would get to it and never did. And then she walked downstairs to get a glass of water and found her mother-in-law sitting at the kitchen table waiting for her with an expression that she would later describe in a legal document as the face of someone who had already made a decision and was only there to deliver it. Her name is Diana Hargrove. She is 34 years old. She gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, less than 30 hours before this moment. They are in her arms right now, one pressed against her left shoulder and one against her right. Both of them still small enough that she can hold them simultaneously without straining, both of them wrapped in the receiving blankets the hospital provided, both of them with their tiny hospital identification bands still on their wrists. The boy's name is Carter. The girl's name is Elise. They are not even 2 days old. They have never felt cold before this moment. They have never experienced a single second of this world outside of a climate-controlled environment. And their mother is standing on the front porch of her own house in 19-degree weather because the door behind her has just been locked from the inside. Take a moment with that. Do not rush past it. A woman who gave birth less than 30 hours ago. 2 newborns who are not yet 2 days old. 19 degrees. A locked door. And inside that house, a man, her husband of 3 years, a man who stood at an altar and made promises in front of 112 people, is standing in the hallway, on the other side of that door, saying nothing. His mother is next to him. His brother is at the top of the stairs. And not one of them is moving toward the door. Not one of them is reconsidering. Not one of them is asking the question that any reasonable human being would ask in that moment, which is, what are we doing? What have we become? What kind of people lock a woman with 2 newborn babies out of her own home in the middle of January at midnight? The answer to that question is, people who are absolutely certain they have the power to do it. People who have never once been made to answer for anything they have done. People who have spent their entire lives operating inside a system that has always bent in their direction, always found a way to make things work out for them, always provided an exit when things got uncomfortable. People who look at a woman on their porch and see someone with no options, no recourse, no leverage, and no way back in. People who are so convinced of their own untouchability that it never once occurs to them to ask the most important question of all. The question they should have been asking from the very first day Diana walked through that front door as Marcus Hargrove's wife. The question that, if any one of them had thought to ask it, and really look for the answer, would have changed everything that came next. The question is simply this: who is she really? Because here is what Marcus Hargrove knew about his wife. He knew she was intelligent. He knew she was composed, almost unnervingly so, the kind of woman who never raises her voice, never loses her temper in public, never lets you see what she is actually thinking unless she wants you to. He knew she had worked in law before they met, though she was vague about the specifics in a way he had always found slightly annoying and had eventually stopped asking about. He knew she kept certain files locked in a cabinet in her home office that she told him contained old case materials from previous employment, and that she had asked him, once, calmly, and without drama, never to go through them. He had not. He knew she received phone calls occasionally, not often, but occasionally, that she always took in private, stepping out of the room and closing the door, and that when she came back she would simply resume whatever they had been doing as if nothing had happened. He knew that she had connections he did not fully understand, that she seemed to know people in positions of authority in ways that went beyond normal professional networking, that there were moments in their marriage when he got the distinct feeling that he was not seeing the full picture of who she was. But he had told himself, the way people tell themselves things they do not want to examine too closely, that it was nothing, that she was private, that some people just were, and that it did not matter, because he was Marcus Hargrove, and in his world, what a woman had done before she married into his family was considerably less important than what the family said now. That belief, that particular combination of arrogance and ignorance, is what put him on the inside of that door on the night of January the 14th. And it is what is about to cost him everything. Not just the marriage, not just the house, not just the reputation he has spent 40 years building in a city where his family name still carries weight in certain rooms. Everything. The kind of everything that does not come back. The kind of loss that other people talk about in hushed voices for years afterward, shaking their heads, saying they cannot believe how badly it all went, saying they never saw it coming. They never see it coming. That is the thing about this kind of story. The person who gets underestimated is never loud about what they are capable of. They do not announce it. They do not warn you. They simply wait until the moment arrives, and then they let the truth speak for itself. And on the night of January the 14th, standing barefoot on a frozen porch in a hospital robe, holding two babies who were not yet 2 days old, Diana Hargrove let the truth begin to speak. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The car arrived in 11 minutes. It was a dark sedan, American-made, no markings, no plates that meant anything to the neighbors on that street. It pulled up slowly, as if the driver had been told to make no sudden movements, to draw no attention, to simply arrive and be present. The man who stepped out of the passenger side was wearing a jacket with a small embroidered patch on the left chest that nobody watching from a window would have been able to read from that distance. He walked up the driveway, said something quietly to Diana, took one of the twins so she could stand, and walked with her back to the car. Diana did not look back at the house. Not once. She got into the car, the door closed, and the sedan pulled away from the curb with the same unhurried, deliberate calm with which it had arrived. And inside that house, Marcus Hargrove turned off the porch light, told his mother it was handled, and went to bed convinced that the hardest part was over. He would spend the next 72 hours believing that. It was the last comfortable belief he would have for a very long time. Stay with me, because by the time we reach the end of this story, you are going to understand something that most people never learn until it is too late, that the most dangerous person in any room is rarely the loudest one. You are going to question everything you assumed about who has power and who does not. You are going to ask yourself how well you really know the person sitting across from you at the dinner table. And you are going to wonder, the way everyone who has ever followed this case has wondered, how a man with every advantage in the world could miscalculate so completely, so totally, so finally. The answer to that question begins not in Ohio, not in January, not on that porch. It begins 15 years earlier, in a different city, at a different stage of life, when a 23-year-old woman named Diana made a choice that would quietly determine the outcome of every significant moment that followed. A choice that Marcus Hargrove knew nothing about. A choice that his mother knew nothing about. A choice that every person inside that house, on that night, in that moment of absolute misplaced certainty,